I'm sure that almost everyone in this room knows Stripe. If you sell something, not like us, but if you sell something, you should use Stripe. I mean, this is the best product on the market. But they've released a few things the last few months, and now they are big in AI. And to talk about that, we have Arielle. She's coming from Paris, so please welcome Arielle on stage with me.
Hello, everyone. I'm super happy to be here today with this room, which is very full of European builders. And I believe that there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur here in Europe. So I wanted to start this presentation by showing the number of new businesses launching on Stripe every month. And you can see a little bump during the pandemic. Then last year, growth started to tick up steadily. And now let's add 2026. So the number of new businesses skyrockets off the trend. So what's behind this? First, you know that AI has lowered the cost of businesses converting a new idea into a new business, particularly for software businesses. And even more excitingly, these new businesses are actually monetizing much quicker than ever before. So to show you this, Atlas is our product that enables companies to incorporate in the US programmatically. So just a few months into the year, 2026 companies, as you can see here, are already making 3 times the revenue than last year cohort. So this is basically staggering growth. Now, a third thing I wanted to show you is the number of Stripe CLI users. So we had, over time, like some CLI users, and in 2025, we started to increase that. But in 2026, the growth starting to become like completely crazy. And so you're all part of this, of course, because these CLI users are not human, they're agents. And this is like incredibly exciting. So we are in the agent economy. You know that you're building, and agents are actually already a new type of economic actors. And at Stripe, we strongly believe that we need to enable these agents to become buyers and to deploy code. So they probably can't access your checkout today if you're a company, SaaS, retail, whatever, that has a checkout, because the tools of the current financial system have actually been built for human eyes that can see a product, see a checkout, navigate a pricing page, create an account, verify the email, etc. And all of these are steps that most of the time require a human intervention. And so to help eliminate those challenges, at Stripe, we decided to launch the Machine Payments Protocol, which is basically an open standard that was created by Stripe and Tempo. This is open source, and this is basically an internet-native way for agents to pay. So MPP service return HTTP 402 payment required to indicate that a resource is asking for a payment to get access. So this is basically the foundation for API monetization and micropayments at the protocol level. So MPP involves 3 parties. First, developers, of course, that are creating apps and agents. Then agents that are actually the one taking the actions, calling APIs, generating images, querying data, etc. You are probably building that yourself already. And they pay for services autonomously thanks to this protocol on behalf of users. And then services that operate APIs and that charge for access. So LLM inference, generation of image, lots of things can be possible here. And so an agent can actually request a resource from a service, API, MCP, or any HTTP endpoint. and the service responds with a payment request. And what's actually very interesting is that basically the agent authorizes the payment and the resource is delivered to the agent. That didn't exist before because you really had to have human intervention in a payment. And there was no protocol for agents to actually complete that. What's also particularly interesting is that, for example, for Stripe businesses, you have like APIs and a dashboard, and you can actually see all the agents' transactions that are in your dashboard showing up just like any other regular transaction. And basically all the payment infrastructure that we built is also applicable to what we call machine payments. So tax calculation, radar for fraud, to avoid token theft, for example, reporting, accounting integrations, like all of that actually applies for agent payments as well. And so if you want to take a look at this, so first we have mpp.dev, which is basically the website where we describe the MPP, when you can get access on GitHub and everything. And then recently we launched mpp.scan, which is basically a tool that enables you to see what services are today actively selling to agents. So from what we're seeing, we already have like around 1,000 active services selling to agents via the machine payment protocol. There's this useful directory that you can take a look at. And it's actually very funny because we see some use cases that we were not necessarily expecting. We saw that like more than 500 agents are buying from Exa AI Lab, which is not the same Exa, by the way. Like more than 300 from open weather on meteorologic information, etc. So we basically don't know how long it will take for this use case to become really, really big, but we can already see the signals on the market, and it seems all but inevitable that it will become like the norm in a few months or within a year. So, machine payments protocol. Now, agents need to be able to buy, yes, but they also need to be able to deploy code, because vibe coding is easy. You've all tried that maybe on like Lovable or Bolt or whatever, but vibe deployment hasn't been. It's still hard to deploy code on the internet because you need to provision a modern stack. It's still too manual. It requires a lot of steps of accounts with maybe Versal, a hostage infrastructure, etc. And so you need to manage all of these credentials. We don't like that. So we launched Stripe projects, which basically lets you and your AI agents and services generate credentials, manages programmatically everything just within the CLI. So we have agents that can become buyers and that can actually become code, deploy code, sorry. So now the question for you is basically, is my business model adapted to agents? So agent economics, as you know, are different. Every prompt, every API call, every task burns real compute. So there is real marginal cost per unit. And when your customer is an agent that's running at machine speed, so 100 times faster than a normal client that you were used to, every agentic task burn compute, so you can basically have real cost on your P&L that's related to that for every unit consumed. The marginal cost isn't zero there. It scales with usage. So you need to know what happens when your top client is actually an agent that's consuming, a month's worth of subscription within 4 minutes. So to enable that, we are, having in our stack metered usage-based billing as well. For example, there are many solutions to enable you that, but you need to be very crisp on the metering that you're going to integrate, because you need to know the costs of your agents and how this is going to impact your business model and your top line. So we're in the era of agentic commerce, and to understand this, we actually show this as a spectrum where basically at one end you have agents that help with discovery, but humans still need to select and buy, because we are not yet at the part where we delegate the selection, but this is actually coming. And so in the middles, humans select and agents check out. They can basically fill out all the delivery details, the checkout information, etc. And if you take a look at this, at the far end, it's basically agentic end-to-end. We have headless agentic commerce here. So agents discover, select, and buy for you. This is kind of the Saint Graal of anticipation, where basically you have many interactions with your agent. They know what you need. They're going to suggest you, a gift for your sister 3 days before her birthday, for example. That's really where we're going, because the level of context and memory that the agent is going to have is also going to enable that kind of commerce. So this is already a reality, and what's interesting is that for a company, you need to make sure that agents are going to be able to discover your product, to go through the whole user journey, which we actually call AX today, from UX to AX, because we think that as a company, you have to build both for human and agent experience. And so if you think about your product catalog, for example, agents are never going to see any interface. They're not going to see any picture from a product. So you have to have a product catalog that is incredibly well structured with the right metadata that is going to provide the right information to the agent, so that then it's going to be surfaced in the right interfaces for the client to find it and buy it. So agents will hit your API endpoint looking to transact, not only browse. It's really the reality that we've already entered. And your API needs to be able to say, this is my product, here's how much, here's how to pay. So this is why we launched that machine payments protocol. And your UX, as I was saying, really needs to be agent-friendly. You need to remove the frictions that an agent is basically going to block on, the CAPTCHA verification, for example, a drop-down, uploading a picture, all of this needs to be completely removed if you want to be agent-friendly. So this is already a reality, and to conclude, there are a few direct actions you should probably already do if you haven't already, run what we call the AX audit. I would actually start by going to a website which is called aura.ai. It's aura.ai, which is basically analyzing your website and giving you a percentage of how much this is agent-friendly today. You'll probably be surprised that a number of companies are actually very, very low score. So that's, for example, a first thing to start with in terms of AX audits. Second, make sure that your economics are good for machine speed consumption, for sure. And also, finally, ask your architecture today, if an agent tried to pay us programmatically, what would we tell it? What would our API tell it? So, really excited to hear more from you today. Feel free to contact to me if you have any questions on what Stripe is doing in the space or anything related to what I just mentioned. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Arielle.